Welcome back to the War Journal podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to read a passage from the book called Critical Life Lessons, and then talk about a very important life lesson, faith, that I believe most people will be able to relate to, and hopefully I can share my own perspective and experiences and to help others. The critical life lessons that I experienced in Desert Storm have been a constant source of tension throughout my life. Desert Storm subjected me to extreme physical conditions and horrific events that left a permanent mark on my identity. However, it was not a catastrophe that could not be recovered from. Many people suffered much greater hardships and trauma. The real tragedy was that I failed to allow the critical life lessons to become a positive influence in my life, inform important decisions and future relationships. Instead, I chose to totally remove the experiences from my memory because I was too angry and naive to understand how they could help me at different points in my life. After the court ruling, when the kids were taken from me, I was at the darkest point of my life. My character and identity were being attacked by a therapist, lawyers, and counselors, all with their opinions and recommendations on how to manage the situation, along with my actions and behavior. However, none of them had any insights into my past or understood my struggles. I was in a constant battle with myself and others. For the first time in my life, I started to question my decisions and doubt myself, which put me on a downward spiral that led to depression and thoughts of violence. Reading the War Journal and opening up with family and friends forced me to reflect on my life in ways that I had never done before. It enabled me to realize my shortfalls and failures, truly understand myself, and realize how the critical life lessons that I ignored for decades could be a positive influence in my life. It gave me the strength I needed to escape from the abyss and provided a glimmer of light through the darkness. Although I struggle at times with anxiety and feelings of solitude, I'm better equipped to deal with my situation and accept myself for who I am. I use the knowledge and insights from my experiences to give me strength and to become a better man. I think the most important critical life lesson that I learned in Desert Storm and that I continue to learn about is faith. I'm not an expert, I'm not a theologist, I'm not a ordained minister, I'm not schooled in religion. I speak from my own experiences that I truly believe many people can relate to. I grew up Catholic and I had to go to church every Sunday. I didn't really understand religion. I went through the motions like most people do. Dress up on Sunday, go to church, listen to the priest, receive communion. I did all of the things that I was supposed to do. But I really didn't understand God, or I didn't understand faith. It was almost like I was indoctrinated into the Catholic religion without a good understanding of God and my relationship with God. Like most Catholics and many people, listen to a preacher and his interpretation of the Bible and how you should live your life based upon his understanding and his interpretation. And for me, I didn't really understand religion and God and faith. Even in the Marine Corps, when I read in the passage when I was over there and they flew a priest in a CH-47 and he put together a quick pulpit and he delivered his sermon talking about the righteous indignation of our mission over there to destroy the Iraqi army. I did have a kind of a belief in God, and I knew that I would come out of Desert Storm okay. I wouldn't die or be killed over there. And I believe that was attributed to my faith, but I really didn't understand it. And I will say that it was many years later, I was walking through the Pentagon, huge building, and standing at the entryway was Kevin Corpinen. Kevin and I served together in Desert Storm, and it was out of chance and happenstance. This huge building, hundreds of thousands of people, at that particular time that I just walked into him. And as I learned later on, Kevin had gotten out of the Marine Corps like I did, and he became a minister. And it's really then that he found his faith. He was always religious when we were in the Marine Corps, but I didn't see that side of him. And we reconnected, and our friendship grew. And it was through Kevin that I really learned about God and Jesus. And I really started my journey, my personal relationship, developing my personal relationship with God and reading the Bible. And it was during the divorce and separation that Kevin was there for me. And I would go to his church and we would pray together. He would send me Bible verses and help me. And it was at that time that I really started to develop my personal relationship with God and understand in a greater way how God has influence on people and individuals, either through their own beliefs and their behaviors and their actions, or through their faith. And a lot of times I struggled, and I still do struggle with, what's my purpose? And I ask God, what is my role in life? Is it to be a successful executive? Is it to be a great father? What is my destiny? And what is your hand in it? Why did you put me on this earth? And how can I serve you? But those are conflicted thoughts with being raised in the Catholic Church in almost an industry where, you're expected to provide money to the church. You're indoctrinated into a system, a religion. And those conflicting views have always been a part of my journey in faith. And as I continue to learn more about God and I continue to understand that it's so important to have faith, to have a belief, whether you're Catholic or Protestant or Presbyterian or Muslim or Hindu. I truly believe in my heart that having a belief in a greater power than yourself can give you peace, and it can give you purpose and meaning in your life. And I see in our society today, there's so many lost souls, what we call it, who are more focused on material things and their individual accomplishments. And some of the people who I have experienced in my life, like Kevin and Brian Watson and Deborah Walker, these people have given themselves to God, and they found peace in their lives. And they have, in a way, been successful and found peace and happiness and joy by serving God. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow for many people. In our world where it's about yourself and the number of clicks and likes and feeling appreciated or whatever, to subjugate yourself to a higher purpose or being is difficult. And I get it, along with other of these societal pressures that we face. But if I can help anyone with the message that if you find God in your heart, I truly believe that you will find peace. And that without God in your heart, you'll continually struggle. Now, I can honestly say that I still struggle today. There were times that I would download the Bible app and read passages every day and find strength. But I always struggled to find a sign. God, help me. I would pray. I would pray for things for myself, but then I would also pray for my children and other people. And recently, I have found that my prayers, I don't know if they've been answered, but things are happening in my life. I'll give you an example. I have prayed for and tried to assist a fellow colleague who's incarcerated in the Virginia Beach Correctional Facility. And I believe my prayers were answered through my actions, which is an important part of my struggle with faith and my journey down this path, is how much is God's will and how much is your own free will. And it reminds me of a saying that I heard so many times when I was in Afghanistan in the Middle East. Inshallah. Inshallah literally translated means, if Allah wills it, it will be. If God wills it, it will be. And that really conflicted with my personality and my identity. I'm very active and have OCD, and I'm always trying to get things done. And it's hard for me to just sit back and hope that something happens. And as I often say, hope is a poor planning tool. So when I encountered people who said, Inshallah, I would say, Inshallah meest. Through your hard work, Allah will reward you. And I try to use that in my daily life. I pray that God has a purpose for me in my life. And I struggle to find that purpose, as I said earlier. But it's through my work that I will accomplish these things. It's through the other things like tenacity and resilience that grew out of my time in Desert Storm and my time in the military that helped that. So going back to my example with Chris, I prayed for Chris to be released from custody. But it was my hard work getting in touch with the VJO office and calling on his behalf and writing a letter to the court that just the other day he was released from incarceration and will start treatment at a VA facility in Hampton Roads in the next couple weeks. And, is that chance or happenstance? Is it coincidence? Once again, it vexes me in a way because I don't know. But I'll give you another example. 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to appear in court for another motion to show cause from my ex-wife's lawyer. And I didn't have legal representation. I knew that the substance of the motion was BS. It was based upon a non-payment of $4,000 for court reporter fees, which I paid. And I prayed to God. I remember it was a Wednesday night, and I stood outside and looked at the stars and really prayed and asked God to help me. I didn't ask him specifically what to do. And the next day I received an email from the court, and the judge had ruled that the motion was filed improperly and it was removed from the calendar. And when I brought this to the attention of one of my friends, she told me that this is God's will and this is divine intervention. And sometimes I don't see it, and sometimes you don't see it. And it's happened to me on a couple of occasions in my life. But I truly believe that God does work in our lives if you allow him to. So once again, my struggle is, how can I commit myself fully to God, fully to a belief without tangible evidence? And really, this is the part of faith that is really at the core struggle of most people, I believe. I think that we are in a time where there is a struggle between good and evil. And I don't understand the apocalypse and the last days and really have a hard time understanding that and seeing truth in that. But I do believe that each day we are faced with decisions, and those decisions can be influenced by our faith, our belief in God. And I hope in my heart that everyone can find a place for God in their heart. Because if they do, I believe they will have a happier life, a more purposeful life, a more meaningful life, and a more rewarding life. I'm not here to advocate for a particular religion or faith or belief system. I'm just here to say, through my experiences, I've learned that peace and happiness and joy and fulfillment in life are found with a belief in God. I hope this helps everyone, and I hope that you find this in your heart as I found it in my heart.